It's the picture of luxury, a large swimming pool, a spacious backyard with a perfectly manicured lawn. It's the idea of having the car, the house, everything, the American dream. The dream says that if I work hard, I can buy and have the best, like the Cadillac this commercial was selling. But at what cost? At what price do we attain it all? As the commercial continues, we see a man so interested in attaining things that he and his family are heading in all different directions. Is that what happens when we focus on trying to attain the finer things in life? Does materialism negatively affect our relationships, thereby causing us to be unhappy? We as Americans are constantly bombarded with images of the things we need to buy in order to feel successful and satisfied. As in this Cadillac commercial, we are being sold an image of a false sense of happiness that comes at the expense of spending our hard-earned money to fill the emptiness in our homes and our lives. But is that happiness? Will materialism lead to the ultimate sense of fulfillment? Can shopping and attaining the finer things in life make you truly happy? According to multiple studies, the answer is a resounding no. In Materialism, Spending and Effect, an event sampling study on marketplace behavior and its effective costs, Kirk Warren Brown, Tim Kasser, James Connell, and Richard M. Ryan detail their study looking at the effects of materialism. The research study from November 2015 asked 74 participants to track their spending habits for a total of 21 days. With each purchase, participants were asked to catalog it and also identified the emotion that went along with it. Their ultimate conclusion was that spending, whether it be on a necessary or a discretionary item, did not create lasting feelings of happiness, i.e., buying stuff won't make people happy. While some people may have the idea that if they could just get that new laptop or car, that they'd be happy, that's not the case according to Michael S.W. Lee and Christy Sao Yoon An. The two took a look at the effects of materialism in their article, Anti-Consumption, Materialism, and Consumer Well-Being. They state that materialism is associated with self-centered traits such as selfishness, envy, or non-generosity. It is not just this self-centeredness that can be the issue, though. The two authors further conclude that, due to their insatiable desire and their unrealistic expectations, materialistic individuals find it more difficult to be satisfied with their quality of life. And so, after buying that new laptop, it won't be long before they need something bigger, better, and newer. The line around any Apple store on the debut of some new iPhone or iWatch or iWhatever is evidence of this. This lack of satisfaction creates a hole in people's lives that they can never fill no matter how much they buy. But does materialism just impact individuals alone? To the contrary, it greatly affects one of the greatest sources of pleasure in our lives, our relationships. John F. Tanner, James A. Roberts, and Chris Manolis completed a research study in 2005 that looked at how materialism affects the family unit. Their research, published in the article Materialism and the Family Structure Stress Relation, found that a recurrent theme of the modern consumer culture is that happiness can be purchased at the mall, on the internet, or in a catalog. This core belief that people can purchase happiness from any fine retailer is an issue in and of itself, but there's more. The researchers found that materialism was positively correlated with time spent unhappy. And when materialism becomes the sole focus within a family, more meaningful pursuits such as family and community are neglected. When you neglect spending time with those you love, it appears that it does increase family stress levels. The researchers further added, adolescents who focus on material possessions as a means of achieving happiness may do so at the expense of relationships with other people. If they have established these beliefs and behaviors as a young adult, it is going to continue into adulthood, affecting all their relationships. It really comes down to the fact that more time spent pursuing the attainment of material goods is more time being stressed and unhappy. Moreover, materialism is specifically going to affect familial relationships. Joseph Chancellor and Sonia Lubomirsky, authors of Happiness and Thrift, When Spending Less is More, firmly stated that families who strongly endorse having goals for financial success also report less satisfaction with family life. The two researchers also discussed the negative effects on an individual's sense of self and a lack of gratitude, which in turn will affect their relationships. If people don't feel good about themselves, how are they supposed to feel good about someone else? But does this mean that switching their focus to family is really the answer? Even when positive experiences such as family trips, memorable vacations, wedding days, or very first homes have long since passed, people can still extract positive feelings from them rather than perpetually anticipating and paying for the next adventure. Furthermore, if they do choose to spend money, research suggests that spending time with others or doing something good for someone else is the way to go. Once again, happiness comes down to our relationships with those we love.
My mother's death still hangs in the air around me. And now, during the same month, my 6-year marriage is ending. But even while Rome is burning, there's somehow time for shopping at IKEA. See, when I moved out of the house earlier this week, toting my many personal belongings in large bins and boxes and 50-gallon garbage bags, my first inclination was, of course, to purchase the things I still needed for my new place. You know, just the basics. A shower curtain, towels, a bed, and I need a couch and a matching leather chair, and a love seat, and a lamp, and a desk chair, and another lamp for over there. And don't forget about the sideboard that matches the desk, and a dresser for the bedroom. And I need a coffee table and a couple end tables, and a TV stand for the TV I still need to buy. And now that I think about it, I'm gonna want my apartment to be my style. You know, my own motif. So I need certain decoratives to spruce up the decor. But wait, what exactly is my style? And do these stainless steel picture frames embody that particular style? Does this replica Matisse sketch accurately capture my edgy but professional vibe? Exactly how edgy am I? What espresso maker defines me as a man? Does the fact that I'm asking these questions preclude me from being a, quote, man's man? How many plates and cups and bowls should a man own? I guess I need a dining room table too, right? And a rug for the entryway and bath mats, and what about that one thing? That thing that's sort of like a rug, but longer? Yeah, a runner. I'm gonna need one of those. And I'm also gonna need... hell, what else do I need?
Joshua Fields Milburn, co-founder of the blog The Minimalists and best-selling author, shared his own story of materialism. Joshua was working a 6-figure job. He had everything anyone could ever want: the luxury car, the charming house, and a beautiful wife. In the 2016 documentary, Minimalism, a Documentary, Milburn talks about how everything came crashing down. His mother, with whom he was very close, had been an important part of his life, but he had kept putting off going to see her because of work and other obligations. Within the space of a month, Joshua's mother died, and his marriage suddenly ended. As he spoke about in the video, he went looking for help filling the void in his life, thinking about filling the emptiness with all the things he would need. Milburn talks about this period and how it caused him to rethink things, saying, "I started questioning everything. That's when I discovered minimalism. It was a beacon in the darkest of nights." He had placed so much of his attention on the attainment of the best of everything that he had lost what was most important: his family and loved ones. It was this event that made Milburn reevaluate his life and write the book with his friend and co-founder of the Minimalists. Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus now preach the importance of finding your focus in life, and it's clearly not about the things. Milburn is not the only one to turn away from a lifestyle of materialism. Carolyn Mallon, author of the blog Distracted Mom, discussed how losing everything gave her a fresh start and a chance to focus on her sons. Mallon talked about how she used to be the type of mom that flaunted my collection of Fendi and Louis Vuitton handbags. Then, in a cross-country move, Mallon and her husband ended up losing the entire contents of their storage container. They lost all their valuables, memorabilia, furniture, everything. While her and her then husband were understandably upset, Mallon says that it forced her to realize something important, that stuff was all just stuff. Through the disappointment and hardship of losing everything, Mallon learned a lesson that takes some people a lifetime to understand. It affected her so much that, with my divorce about a year later, she says, I walked away pretty much empty-handed except for a minivan and 2 beautiful babies. She was actually looking forward to the fresh start that it brought her, a chance to choose the things she really wanted in her life. It was this event that helped her to also reevaluate her life and share her story with others through her popular blog. There was also the 10-year-old who went viral for his inspirational video about materialism. In the video, Naeem Hudson talks about how kids at the local park were giving him a hard time about his shoes.
Okay guys, now I just came from the park and it's this kid teasing me because I have feelers on. Now mind you, I am not a material person. I just wear feelers because I like the color and I think they're cool. They might not be what's popular today, but that's what I like. So I told the kid, it's not about what I have on my feet, it's about what I have inside my head. No matter what I'm wearing, no matter what I have on, it's about my information, the knowledgeable things in life. These sneakers are not even going to fit you in 20 years from now. So it's about what you have in your mind, your wisdom, your knowledge, the power to inspire others. And parents, please don't raise your children like the materialistic type, because once they don't have Jordans on or cool clothes, they're going to feel like they're not important. They're going to feel like they need the golden or the Jordans or the cool stuff, the popular stuff, to make them feel important.
If this insightful child can see the dangers of materialism to our lives and our relationships, then we can all open our minds to it. I have to admit that I grew up an aspiring materialist. I wanted everything my friends had. I wanted the phone and the car and the clothes. I can remember so many times as my family sat at the dinner table, peacefully eating whatever my father or my mother had made. I'd open up a discourse on why I needed a new this, that, or the other. The discussions had always started peacefully at first, because I thought I could just talk them into it. But it would soon escalate when I didn't get my way. I would get flustered, start stammering and getting louder, trying anything to get my way, and my father would sit there unmoved. His eyebrows would raise in protest, but he'd just tell me it wasn't happening and continue eating. So many times we would have these discussions. My parents stood firm though, and my father told me that those things weren't what was most important in life, and that one day I'd see. And then one day, everything changed. It was a lazy Sunday morning. I had just finished breakfast when my phone rang. It was my mother calling, and I figured she was just calling to see if I was coming over for dinner. When I answered though, all I could hear was her crying. "Daddy died," was all she could say. I remember my head started to spin. But I had just seen him last night. I had sat across the dinner table from him. We had joked like we always did. And I had patted him on the cheek and told him I loved him before leaving. How could he possibly be gone? But the fact was, though, that he was gone. That week dragged by. I did my best to keep myself busy. I even turned to my old friend, retail therapy. Because buying a new purse and a new outfit would surely fill some of the hole of losing the person who had meant so much to me, right? By the time Friday came, so had a random March snowstorm. As I sat in the funeral home for his memorial service, I was worried that people wouldn't venture out to pay their respects to this man who so very much deserved it. It was cold and the roads were a mess. Little did I know I had nothing to worry about. Fellow mourners started coming in and continued steadily all night. Many drove from out of state just to come and share their condolences with me and my family. As the night went on, something hit me. Every single person who came didn't just say how wonderful my father was, but they had a story to show it too. Each and every one of them had fond memories of him, things they would most remember and most miss about him. It suddenly became very clear to me. Not one person mentioned what a cool car he had, even though it had a Hemi. Not one person said anything about his house or any of his possessions. What they talked about was how he treated them, and how they knew without a doubt that the most important thing in his life was his family. I looked back on mine and my father's time together, knowing everything they said was true. I couldn't tell you what he bought me for my birthday or Christmas, but I could and still can paint you a vivid picture of how he turned the radio up while we were driving the car and sang and beat on the steering wheel like it was a drum just to make us laugh. I could tell you how he used to surprise me and my sisters with random water gun fights in the summer, after which we'd all collapse on the porch, soaking wet and not allowed in the house until we dried off, and we'd enjoy a fresh piece of watermelon. I could describe the very sensation of one of his big bear hugs, the kind that would put me back together whenever I felt like I was falling apart. Not one of my treasured memories, like so many others, had anything to do with things. They were all of this amazing man whose love and care had helped me to grow and become the woman I was. I realized that I had gotten lost in this idea that is so prevalent in our society. I wanted the fancy car, the designer purse, the whole look. But my father and his death taught me it's not about things, it's about people. My father's life served as a testament that to be truly happy and successful, we need to place value on the people we love, not the possessions we own. As more friends and family continued coming in all night, my heart swelled with gratitude as I sat in that funeral home. Yes, my father was gone, but the love he gave me and the lessons he taught me would never leave me. My goal, my life's purpose, suddenly changed from having the best of everything to being the best I could be, living the examples and lessons my father and his life had taught me. In conclusion, I could present you with a multitude of research proving that, psychologically and emotionally, materialism will not lead to happiness. I could have graphs and charts with terms that few could understand, all to prove my point. But sometimes what has the biggest impact is to listen to the experiences of others and to experience it for yourself. When we realize how little everything else matters, we can refocus ourselves and our lives. We can put our time and effort into something that will last much longer than any phone or car or piece of clothing, our relationships. Materialism will not lead to happiness. I spent years and so much money trying to prove otherwise. What materialism does, though, is causes us to lose our focus. And when we can finally see what matters most is the ones we love, then we can be truly happy.